Hello and welcome to number 2 out of 90. I'm really, really excited. I'm going to put us on gallery view to welcome today Marina Pearson, who is a friend of mine from actually living in Javier at the moment. So that's really, really great. And we are going to talk about the power of slowing down. So, Marina, it's lovely to have you here. Thank you for being part of my 90 and 90.
Well, you're so welcome. It's such a pleasure.
Yeah, and so I was just sort of talking about the reason that I've done these little mini interviews is I wanted to just reach out to people that have been kind of influential, that I've seen as part of my journey, and people that I see around me who are full of joy. And I've been, to want of a better word, pointing people in the same direction and have a similar understanding, and that we have a connection, which for us was probably the Three Principles community. And I can't remember how long ago it was that you actually moved to Javier in Spain.
Well, I reached out to you about 5 years ago.
Okay.
I've been here for 4, so
Wow.
we did a recce even before I left Bali, actually, which is where I was before that. So that we've known each other for 5 years, Amanda.
Wow. And I remember that because your son Leo is now 5 or 4 then?
He will be 5, yeah.
Okay, because he was in your tummy. You were pregnant.
He was in my tummy when I reached out to you in Bali, yes. And then you met him the following year when we came to do a recce in the summer.
Yeah, lovely. So it's been that long, and it's funny, we've all gone on our own little journeys.
Wiggly journey.
Yeah, and I'm super, one of the things that I get, I would like to thank you for everything that you're bringing to, to the world and to the community. And I have such admiration for people who are really walking their talk, or who are, I love the idea that you've done all these amazing podcasts, and I was very honored to be a guest on one of your podcasts. That was yes, that seems a while ago. And also, you've got your book out, The Joy of Being. Is that your
that's
the title
right,
of your book? Yeah. And I'm reading that at the moment, actually. Got it in my bag. Yeah, I have. So I haven't finished it. But the joy of being, and it's my favorite word anyway. Joy seems to be, my word of the year. But seeing that people like you really inspire me, and I wanted to, to thank you because you get things going. You
yeah, do. And it's so interesting that sort of thing of getting things done. My experience of this has really changed over time. So to take you back a little bit, back 6 years ago, I was getting things done, but in such a stressful way, right? Some people, you could consider that to be hustle and pushing and striving and driving and all of those words, right? So it's literally like, get things done. I've got to make things happen. And to be honest, it was making me ill. I was constantly in this sort of manic adrenaline, cortisol experience. And based on what I've started to do some research on is, if you're doing that for 30 minutes a day, that's pretty much our limit in terms of the body. If you're doing any more than that, then your body starts to compensate and it starts to do weird and wonderful things and can actually turn genes off. So what happens is you start to get a bio dysregulation. And so it has a massive physical impact on your physiology when you are living in chronic stress. And so part of that was, yes, slowing down is a waste of time. As far as that was my paradigm that I was living in, right? Slowing down, why the hell would I want to do that? I'm just keep going, do. That's what I'm up to in the world. I'm an overachiever, identify with that. I get things done, need to prove to everybody that I am, this and that in the world. And interestingly enough, when I got pregnant with Leo, I had to but slow down. Like, I really had to slow down. In fact, I was in bed for like a month, feeling so sick. But what I learned from that experience was that I had some really profound insights into my true nature, into who I am, And one of them was lying in bed at night when I was living in Bali. And the question came to mind is, who am I when I'm lying in bed and nobody knows what I'm up to, or, and I've got this little baby inside of me. And what I heard was, I am. And so then I was like, what? I am what, right? I was expecting there to be something else. And then I had the epiphany of like, there is nothing that comes after that. I just am. And so that was kind of the beginning of my journey of slowing down, because of course I was still in that, yeah, I'm slowing down, and then Leo comes along and I'm feeling better again and I speed up again, right? And so what I started to realize was that I still had that. It's a bit like when you want to itch a mosquito bite, right? It's still there. Like you still want to itch it and scratch it and like go with it, because that's how you're used to doing things, right? So I was still running. I mean, it's crazy. Like I was 5 months pregnant, 6 months pregnant. I was traveling from Bali over to the UK and running workshops. Once I'd had him, I gave myself a week off and then carried on delivering my course and this and that. And I thought I could carry on as normal until I started to get really sick. So I was sick for every time Leo got ill, I got ill. And by that point I was here in Javier, and every 6 weeks I would get really ill. So my body was just saying, you're not slowing down. You think you are, but you're not.
Mm.
And the way it used to show up was, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to invest all my money in people to help me grow this business. And, I want to be somebody in the world. I want to be somebody in the community. I would get really, I would compare myself to other people. I would feel like I wanted to be the pioneer of something. And all of this was taking a massive toll on my body again. And so the last few years have been an experiment of, what is it about slowing down? Why is it even important? What happens when you slow down? Like the experiment of that, right? So that's kind of when I decided, I had a really shit year in business, and I had a lot of people wanting refunds. My marriage went down the tube, and I was like, is it okay to swear?
You've done it now.
I'm gonna just take some time out and do the most uncomfortable thing in my life, which is to not do anything. And it was deeply uncomfortable for me to decide I'm not even gonna coach, nothing. I don't even want to touch it. I'm gonna spend a month just doing the things that I love. So I started singing. I really got into my cooking. I started getting massages. I started getting kinesiology, and things started to percolate. So that's when I decided I wanted to create this podcast. It kind of percolated up, and it wanted to be birthed. So that was kind of like, it wasn't my first experience, but it was an awareness that I started to have about making decisions around in that place. Because it's so easy for me to have been caught up in but I have to perform, I have to achieve, I have to do this, I have to make money. And the last kind of year has been an experiment of off and on. So like launch something, bring it to life, and then feeling again all of that sort of adrenaline and cortisol dump in my body, and kind of going, no, this isn't quite right for me. Like I'm feeling that, that sort of
that.
Yeah. And it's not about what I was up to, it's about where I was coming from, right? Mm. And interestingly enough, that itch was made very present to me when I went on retreat again in August. And I actually had a conversation with someone about it, and since then it's kind of disappeared.
Poof, like magic.
It really has. And there's this sense of like, I don't need to achieve anything unless I want to, unless it juices me up, unless it actually looks like a hell yeah. So I love running retreats here in Spain, and And one of the things that I've started doing is just sharing the journey of what my clients are up to here, why I think it's important for mums especially to kind of take the time out here and also really focus on their mental well-being, but also to slow down. And I had this rule in my head that somehow it needed to look a certain way. And I've started to realize that it doesn't need to look any way. I've started to realize that actually it's simple enough to just listen to what wants to be birthed, what wants to be done, what's the next logical step. And that's all I know for now. And so I've gone from like, oh, well, it's a Monday to Friday, like I must work. And here I am in front of my computer and I'm 9 to 5, to, ooh, I just really fancy like lying by the pool today. I'm just going to read something. And then an idea will pop into my head. And I'm like, that's kind of cool. All right. And then, so for example, I'll give you an example. I met a lady at this Mum.2 summit that I went to this year, and she's a really, 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 really inspirational woman. She's called Amy Riveter, and she's created all these really cool women-only co-working spaces in the US. And there's one in Austin, which is where my son is. And I was like, I'd really like to do something at this workspace. Like, I'd really like to. What if I just reached out? So I decided to reach out, and we're going to collaborate. So one of the things that they've said, because I kind of had an idea of like, well, what if I could do a webinar before the talk? That way people would get to know me. And they said, like, yeah, let's do a webinar together. So they promote the webinar to their peeps. And I'm like, yeah, that juices me up. That's something I'd love to do.
There's something you say there is that it's not that achieving doesn't occur. It's like the achiever disappears, right? So
yeah,
you know, achieving still is going to happen, but it doesn't. Like you used to talk a lot before about effortlessness, and you know, talked a lot about effort and effortless living, and it's like that's stuff is just going to happen, but it happens with a different feeling when it runs through you, and you don't feel you're the one doing and achieving, and you know, it's still going to happen.
Yeah, and it's a very different space, because I realized that then you're a conduit for something that wants to be birthed, or a direction that the energy wants to go in. And I write about this in my book, where how do we know the signs of wisdom? How can we get in touch with those signs? And for me, and this is just for me, for other people it might be different, it's either a ooh, yeah, ooh, or a I wonder what that would look like. I wonder, just going to ask. Or like, for example, I reached out to a contact of mine, Debbie Gilbert, who runs Mums Unlimited. And we talked about the book, and I said, oh, the book's been birthed, you know, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, well, you can come and sell some books at the gala that we've got. And then it just occurred to me to ask her, do you have anybody that speaks at the gala? Like, could I speak? And she said, sure. So from that, I had this amazing experience of these amazing women that day in the UK, and one of them became my clients. So there's a space where ideas come from that are definitely not from old habits of thinking. There is a space where there is newness to it. There's a freshness to it. There's a like, ooh, yes. And I'm just noticing that more. Like, I'm noticing that if I don't know yet what to do, it's okay to sit with the not knowing. Whereas before I'd be like, oh no, I must know. I'm just going to do this or this or this or this or this. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just, do I want to, it's more like, where do I want to put my energy? Do I want to put my energy in just waiting and sitting back until something comes to me and move forward with it? Or do I just want to rush into something because I'm scratching that itch again, that I have to fill the void of doing something, right? So it's really about holding achievement lightly. It's almost like, oh, this is fun, this is playful, this is something that I can work with. And I'm experimenting with it right now because it's really new for me. to kind of just sit back and just wait for the ideas to come, or just wait for that nudge to come. And sometimes I have to wait maybe a couple of days. So in the meantime, I'm like, what the fuck do I do with my time?
and that's sort of alien then, isn't it? You're used to being so busy.
Bingo.
Lots of people watching this video will sort of see, like, they're too busy to watch a video. I've tried to keep them sort of 10, 15, 20 minutes. That's the plan. Because I know that the story is, I'll watch it when I've got time. I'll watch it when I've got time. And we'll talk about the illusion of time on another interview, but it's that, I think I remember, I don't know wherever I first heard it, but I love that, when the mind clears, wisdom appears. And the only thing we have to do, really, the key is slowing down, the power of slowing down.
And then listening.
Deep listening and all of that stuff,
And, I had this client this weekend who has some issues with her, she's got some stuff going on for her and physically. And usually we want to douse it down with pills or like get rid of it. But actually what I've started to see is the body's way of communicating with us is through symptoms. And if we decide that we're going to ignore the symptoms by taking pills, of course that's a logical next step for a lot of people, but there's nothing to be afraid of, and it's all communication. So the question is, are we listening? And I know that I haven't listened on many, many occasions, and then got frustrated and pissed off and angry because I spent lots of money in something that I should never have spent the money in, because I didn't wait. I didn't have the patience to wait, right? So there was this like impatience of, I have to do something, I have to get something done. Okay, what is it I'm supposed to be getting done? Where am I supposed to be getting it done? And
where's the off switch? Like, we just,
right.
like, where's that off switch? Because it's so true. That's just the way we've all been brought up, that the people that get more done are the go-getters, the ones that are up early and going all day. And it's not true. The ones who have cracked it are the ones who are sitting around the pool and, come up with that idea, and with clarity, just make that happen. So I could do a lot of thinking about something. Like last night, I was like, okay, I'm going to do these 90 interviews in 90 days, and had a lovely chat with Marnix just the day before. And I was like, okay, right, I haven't actually invited anybody yet. And I was like, okay, don't worry about it. I'll just get quiet. And then I think I invited last night 40 of my 90 people in about an hour. It's like, oh yeah, them. Oh, and it was exciting. Then I'm in it again, and it's exciting. But it's that when we get to see, or if we can see it, that everything is waiting to come out once we're, like you say, in the right space. I've heard it from Christian McNeil. I don't know who else said it, but she always talks about, we are just the we are just the recipient of experience. We're just the recipient of experience. You called it, we're the conduit. I love that. I love when we see that. That's what we are. And in a way, I was going to say that's all we are, but it's not that's all we are. That's all we are. We're all having this experience that's running through us, and we're getting in the way when we're too trying to control it. In a way, it's coming from control, right? We're trying to make it happen a certain way without just letting it happen the way it's happening. And that's that sitting back, and it feels like, I have this image of you sitting by the pool, and then like, oh my goodness, like, I know what I've got to do, and we're up again. I
remember there was a moment where I was running a program, and the next, I was kind of like, okay, well, I really want to invite, and that was something that was really exciting for me. And so I reached out to a few of my potential clients to talk about the program, and we got on a chat, and then basically had a few of them sign up. But if I'd done it a formulaic way, if I hadn't had like the time to just kind of go, well, how would I love to approach this? I probably would have missed that opportunity. And well, who knows? The point being was I listened to what was needing to be done and I did it. So there is so much juiciness in living from a place of seeing and knowing and listening than there is from hustling, pushing, driving, striving, overwhelming, stressing. Yeah, like panic, right? Like, as I said, you itch the scratch. It's like, I'm sure, well, I'm meant to be doing something. What am I meant to be doing?
Or even scratch the itch.
Scratch the itch.
Whatever way, it doesn't matter, does it? As long as it hit, you know, as long as it heals, right? As long as it goes away. So thank you so much. I know that we could talk and we could talk forever, but we can do that on a dog walk. And we'll do another interview soon where we've got a bit more time. But thank you for being part of 90 and 90. And
you're so welcome.
yeah, and I'm going to give you a shout out, put a link on for your book so people can themselves go order The Power of Joy. Is that right?
The Joy of Being.
The Joy of Being, right, there you go. The Power of Slowing Down. With Marina Pearson, who has written The Joy of Being. So yeah, that's great. Okay, lots of love to you. Thank you. You are number 2.
I am number
apparently. 2. Lots of love. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, lovely.